Hi everybody, it's Richard here again and welcome to another video. Now this is going to be one of my spotlight videos, and this time I'm going to concentrate on Bjorn, Benny, Agneta and Frida. Now those four names equal ABBA, but this video is actually going to be looking at some of the stuff I have in my collection, and I stress I don't have it all because there's a vast amount of stuff, so I'm only scratching the surface here. I'm concentrating on the stuff they released pre-ABBA and post-ABBA. So really from the 60s up to about 1971, 72, and then from the end of 1982 onwards. So we'll do this with the first section, and the first section is the pre-ABBA days. Now we'll start off with Agneta, and she actually released 4 albums between 1968 and 1971, and I have got them on this CD box set. Now this is actually getting quite expensive, so it is. It's hard to find, but all these albums are released on CD. That there is her debut album. I'm not going to name these either because they're all in Swedish and I don't want to absolutely butcher the names. This is her second album. This is her third, or maybe that's her second, another one was her third. This is her fourth album, and I will show a vinyl copy shortly of that one there, which was released actually during the ABBA years in 1975. Now these are all in Swedish. They're all 1960s type Eurovision-y, bouncy little pop songs. They're of its time. I do enjoy them. I would love to have heard them in English because I don't speak a word of Swedish, so it is quite, well, it's not difficult to listen to, it's easy listening, but I would really like to know what she's singing about. So that she actually wrote a lot of the songs in those albums herself, and she is actually quite a respected songwriter back in the 60s. She wrote the music. I'm not too sure how much of the words she did, but she actually wrote the music. Now Frida, the best way to find her music from the 60s is through this CD. Now this is Anna-Frid Lyngstad, Frida 1967 to 1972. Now she only released one album called Frida, and that album is actually included on this double CD. This is quite similar type music as well. It's quite bouncy, it's of its time. It may be a little bit more folky, a little bit more laid back, maybe a little more show tuney than Agneta's, but it's still a nice listen, but again it's in Swedish. Next up is Bjorn, and all I have from him is this CD, The Hootenanny Singers. Again, it's Swedish, but it is quite folky with a little bit of a pop element to it. It's actually quite good, but it's not bad. So that's The Hootenanny Singers. And the third one I have got is Benny with the Hep Stars. Now this is like a covers band of the 60s, so they do a lot of Everly Brothers covers. Now these are in English, they're not in Swedish, and I think these guys were actually quite successful in Sweden, but I'm not keen at all. It just sounds like a cheap covers band, really. So that's the Hep Stars. But in 1970, this came out. Bjorn and Benny got together for this album, Lycka. This is all in Swedish, but it is really good, and you can see the seeds of their partnership growing. The songs are actually very accessible, they're quite catchy, and there's one song in particular called Hey Gamble Man, which I believe means hello old man, and on that single you get Agneta and Frida. Now I have the actual 7-inch single of it. I bought this recently. I really wanted it because it is so important, because it is the first time that the girls, the 4 of them really, were all together, but it's only credited to Bjorn and Benny. But that Lycka album is actually very good, and I wouldn't mind getting it on vinyl. So that was what I have of their pre-ABBA days. Now I also want to include the fact that whenever ABBA were together in the early years and Agneta was off having her first baby Linda, They did some TV shows, but they brought in another girl called Inger Brugman, and here are a few pictures of her miming away to Ring Ring and People Need Love. I also want to show two solo albums that were released during the time of ABBA by Frida and Agneta, and the first one from '75 is Frida and Sam, and this is actually very good. It's all contemporary hits of the day, and it features the first version of Fernando, and the second one is Agneta, and I don't want to say the name of it, I'll put it down below because I can't pronounce it, and this is also very good as well, and she co-writes the whole of this album, and this has a version of SOS on it. So we'll jump up to 1982 and start looking at the solo material. We'll do the girls first, and in 1982, before ABBA broke up, because the last two singles had yet to be released, Frida releases this album here, which is Something's Going On, which is a very adventurous album. It's a completely different style from ABBA, produced by Phil Collins. It produced a couple of singles, 3 singles to be exact, which I have here. The first one, written by Russ Ballard, is I Know There's Something Going On, which is very drum heavy, very Phil Collins-y, similar in type to In There Tonight. The second one is the absolutely excellent To Turn to Stone, absolutely beautiful song. And the third one is Here We'll Stay. 3 really good singles, and the album itself I think is really good. As I say, it's very adventurous. In 1982, Agneta also released this single called Never Again with Thomas Leiden, and this is a big sick power ballad. It's okay, but his voice I just don't really like, but this too came out before the demise of ABBA. So we'll go on to 1983, and Frida releases 2 singles, one in Europe and one in Britain, and this one came out in Britain, and it's Frida and B.A. Robertson, and the song is Time, and it's from the film ABBA Cadabra, and really all this is the song Arrival with words added to it. And she also releases in Europe this one, and it's Belle with Balavoine. So Balavoine and Frida Belle, and all this is Arrival with French words to it. Agneta releases her first album called Wrap Your Arms Around Me, and one of the songs off this is called Man, and it's completely written by Agneta, and it's really one of the highlights of this. But there was 3 singles taken from that album, and they are The Heat Is On, which is a minor top 40 hit, and it's really good. It was originally recorded by Nisha Fox in 1979. The title track, Wrap Your Arms Around Me, which is excellent, and it's one of the best ever post-ABBA songs, co-written by Mike Chapman. The third one from that album is Can't Shake Loose, which is a decent enough pop song. And then it's So Nice to Be Rich, and this is a single from a soundtrack, not too sure the name of the film. It's okay, I think it only got a European release. It's a bit dated, but I do still like it. Next up then is Frida again in 1984, and she releases this album Shine. Now this is not bad, but it is a little bit dated in sound. It's produced by Steve Lillywhite. There's a couple of Kirsty MacColl songs off this, One Little Lie, The Face, and Chemistry Tonight. And a couple of actual singles were released, which I have. Well, I've got one of them. Shine was originally a single in the UK. Twist in the Dark was a single in Europe, and the other single in the UK was Heart of the Country. Now Heart of the Country was written by Stuart Adamson of Big Country, and it sounds exactly like a Big Country song with Frida's vocals added. The big highlight of this is a song called Slowly, which closes side 1. It was written by Bjorn and Benny, and it is truly excellent, and it's the nearest we had to an ABBA revival with 3 of them. So Frida and Shine, good album, but crap cover. Okay, Agneta came next, and in 1985 she releases Eyes of a Woman, and this is probably her best. And you have One Way Love written by Jeff Lynne, you have The Angel's Cry written by Justin Hayward. It's a good solid album, and a couple of singles were released off this, I believe. I think One Way Love was a single which I don't have, but this was, and it's called I Won't Let You Go, and this is Europop at its finest. I really do like it, but it is very Europop, so it did nothing in the charts though. And a year later, in 1986, we have The Way You Are with who's this with Ola Håkansson or Håkansson. Yeah, this is actually not bad. It's a big power ballad again, but it's better than the previous one. I do quite like this. And then in 1987 she releases this album, which is I Stand Alone, and this has got Pete Cetera all over it, and I think it's rather bland, but I do have a couple of singles off it because I'm a collector. They're not great, and the first one is Let It Shine, not to be confused with Shine, and The Last Time. So that was basically it for a while for Agneta and Frida, and then in 1996 this album was released, and this is called Djupa Antag. Now this is all in Swedish. The majority of this is written by Anders Glenmark, and this is absolutely brilliant. This is the best solo album of the girls. Absolutely amazing, and I would really love to have heard this in English, but not to be, but it's still really, really good. In 1999 Agneta released a greatest hits, which of some of her English songs from the 1980s plus a few ABBA ones, and there's a brand new song on here called Queen of Hearts, which is not bad. And then in 2004 Agneta releases My Colouring Book, which is a collection of 60 songs that she recorded, and it is actually quite pleasant. It's not perfect, but it's not that bland. It's actually quite good, but my favourite track off this is the title track, My Colouring Book, which I think is gorgeous. Also in 2004 as well, Frida releases a single called Sun Will Shine Again with John Lord. Now I don't have it, I have an MP3 copy of it, but here is the CD single. And then in 2013 we have and now this is a surprise for Agneta coming back, and she got a lot of coverage of this. It's okay, but it is slightly bland. It's not fantastic, but it was good to have her back. Okay, we'll go back now to 1984 for the guys, and this came out. This is the Chess soundtrack for the musical, and this features the huge hit I Know Him So Well by Elaine Paige and Barbara Dixon, as well as the other huge hit One Night in Bangkok by Murray Head. I think this is magnificent. Songs like Heaven Help My Heart are brilliant, and I love the opener Milano. So this is a fantastic album. I don't know how the actual stage show went in the West End or in Broadway or wherever it went to. I don't think it did that well, but the actual soundtrack itself is really, really good. And then in 1985 this was released, and this is Gemini, and this is Karen and Anders Glenmark. Anders Glenmark was the guy that wrote Frida's album. Now the majority of the songs of these are written by Bjorn and Benny. In fact 6 of the 9 songs are. Plus there was a couple of extra songs from the sessions written by them which didn't get on the album, like Copy Love and When I Close My Eyes, and they're really good as well. You need to hear Gemini if you're an ABBA fan, because it's the next best thing. They're not ABBA, they never will be, but as I say, it's the next best thing. And in 1987 they released their second album, Geminism, and 7 of the 10 songs were written by Bjorn and Benny. Then we have in 1987 we have Kinga Minga Clocker, which is Benny on the accordion, and it's fun and it's nice, but you would only play it once or twice, that's about it. So it's a Benny Andersson solo album. And then he did another one which I've only ever played once and I can't really remember what it's like, and it's Benny Andersson 1989. I will say about Gemini, the records are hard to get, but there's a CD which is the best of those two albums, and it features Copy Love and When I Close My Eyes on it as well, which is well worth getting. Okay, the next big album is Josephine Nielsen, and this is called Shapes. Now this is big for the fact that it's a pop album, and it's the first album since The Visitors that the whole album was written by Bjorn and Benny, and it is very good. The highlights of this are When the Wheels Have Ceased to Sing, which is a gorgeous song, and Surprise Surprise, which was a single, and it has a bit of an ABBA hook about it, but this is really good. And then in the mid-90s, Benny did another musical called Christina. Now, this here is the Carnegie Hall version of it, released in about 2013. Yeah, again, it's a musical, it's good, it's of its type. I can play it in the background and enjoy it, but that's all I can say. It's a musical and it's okay. Also in the 2000s, Benny Andersson started the Benny Andersson Orchestra, and they've released a string of material. I've only got a couple of albums of them, and one is BA03, and the reason I bought this is there's a song called Crush on You on it, which has actually got vocals in English, and it's a bouncy little number and I really do like it. But the big one for me is this one here, Story of a Heart, which is actually a compilation of the previous 3 albums plus one new song, Story of the Heart, and it's the first real pop song he's written for ages, and it could have been sung by ABBA. It's an ABBA type song and it's really, really good. And one more CD I want to show, and this was from about 2006, and it's Sophie Van Otter, and it is I Let the Music Speak, and this is a collection of some ABBA songs and other Benny and Bjorn songs which I had never actually heard of, like Butterfly Wings, which is very good, and there's another one here, I Walk With You Mama, which I've never heard either. It's not bad, it is quite good. So the big success for Benny and Bjorn was the Mamma Mia soundtrack. The first one hit the #1 spot in 2008, and then 10 years later the second one also hit the #1 spot, and then also on top of that, Cher from the second, I think she was in the second film, she released an album called Dancing Queen of ABBA covers, which did extremely well. But I'm not interested in any of those 3 albums at all. I don't own them in any shape or form. Okay, so that's my look through the ABBA, pre-ABBA and post-ABBA work of the guys, and some of it is very good, some of it is not great at all. None of it is really outstanding. The closest to outstanding for the girls would be the Frida album from the mid-90s and this Chess album from the guys in 1984. But whenever you're an ABBA fan, you feel as if you have to buy all this stuff, and it, you know, you feel loyal to the group, and that's it, so I buy. Okay, that's me for now, and I hope to have another video quite soon. All the best now. Bye bye.